clearly, please leave a yes in the chat, right? If you can hear me, I'm audible, I'm clear, right? Please leave a yes in the chat so I confirm that you can hear me clearly. So I'm looking forward to your response in the chat, okay? All right, thank you, Abdul. Is it just Abdul that can hear me? I can see Rosaline, I can see I can see Mommy K, I can see Melody, I can see Prosper, I can see John, Jessica. Can you all hear me? Please leave a yes in the chat. All right, thank you so much, Prosper. Okay, so we're just gonna get started with today's session. All right, so welcome to Analytics Masterclass, and today we'll be talking about something really, really interesting. My name is Priscilla, and I'll be your host for today alongside my colleague Akuna. It's going to be a practical session, right? And what I want you to do is, if you know anybody that should be here, somebody that is looking to transition into data science, and you would want them to gain one or two from what we'll be sharing today, please go ahead, send them the link, right? And then in the course of the session, my colleague will be sharing an attendance form, right? So while we're going through the session, we'll be sharing tips, doing really amazing stuff that you might need to go back to. So just click the attendance form and fill it so that as soon as the slide we'll be using for today's session is ready, you can, access these things, okay? So I'll just go ahead to get started with the session today. Now, I'll be sharing my screen, and as soon as you can see my screen, please let me know in the chat by just leaving a yes, right? So I've just started sharing my screen. If you can see my screen clearly, kindly leave a yes in the chat so I know that you can see my screen. All right, thank you so much, Rebecca. Okay, so today's session is one that is ought to be very, very interactive, right? So if you want to gain the most, just ensure that you're interacting in the chat and you're asking questions and all of that. So today we'll be seeing how to analyze public health data using Python and ChatGPT. And this session is brought to you by Analytics. So who are we at Analytics and what do we do? Right? So we're a leading educational technology company, and we help people transition into tech. Simply put, no long stories. So if you're looking to transition into tech, Analytics is your best bet. We've been doing this for a little over 5 years, and in the course of this period of time, we've been able to help over 2,855 plus people transition from their classroom into their first jobs in tech. Right? So if you're here, you're a beginner looking to transition into tech, not just transition, but get a job, this is where you want to be, right? So we train people to become data analysts, business analysts, data engineers, data scientists, financial analysts, HR analysts, agile project managers, cybersecurity, as well as AI engineering, which is, soon to come. Right, so the way we've been able to ensure that you're getting value when you're registered with us is to ensure that every single facilitator or instructor that'll be taking you through your learning journey is well experienced, right? So you literally be learning from that, right? You'll be working on real world projects and gaining real world experience while learning from them. All right, so what would we be doing here today, today's session? So the first thing we'll do is talk about the practicals. You get to learn how to analyze public health data using Python and ChatGPT. Afterwards, I would also tell you the pathway to becoming a data scientist, because I promise you'll be wowed by what my colleague is going to take you through during the practical session. And you would definitely want to get started as a data scientist. And I'll be here to talk you through how you can get started as a data scientist. And then we'll talk about the Analytics Growth Internship Program. And I will also tell you about a special discount offer that we have for you. So I've been talking to you, and like I said, I'm your host for today. So who is Priscilla, basically, and what do I do? So I'm a passionate educator, data expert, and career strategist, right? And currently, I'm a growth catalyst at Analytics. And what I help people do, very interesting, is to decide career path to go into. So when people are looking to transition into tech, they are usually caught in the mix of tech is very broad. How do I decide on which career path to go into? That is where I come in, okay? So I help you decide on which career path to go into. And over time, I've been able to work as a freelance data analyst, a crypto educator, a technical support personnel, as well as a tech career coach. So right now, I'm going to leave it to my colleague to kickstart the practical aspect. Her name is Akona, and I'll be handing over to her right away. Hello, Akona. Can you hear me?
Hi, Priscilla. Yes, I can hear you. Am I audible?
All right. Yeah, you are. Please go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much. So hi, everyone. Hello. So I'm just going to share my screen now, and then we'll hop right into what we have for today. Okay. So nice to meet every single one of you once again, all right? So as Priscilla has rightly said, my name is Akuna Anyampa, and I'm actually a seasoned technology professional, all right? So I'm skilled in Python, Power BI, Tableau, SQL, R, and so many other tools that you can use for data analysis and data science, all right? So today we're going to focus on the use of Python, how you can use Python for data science, all right? And data analysis as well. So that's me in the brief. You can always go through this later on. So you can stay connected, okay? So you can connect with me on LinkedIn later on via my name there, Akuna Anyampa, and then I'll follow you back. And also remember to follow 10 Analytics if you're not already following 10 Analytics. So quickly, over to what we have today, or on to what we have today. Today, we're going to be analyzing public health data using Python and ChatGPT. All right, so a very quick one. How many of us have used, how many of us know what data science is? All right, so I want to use the comment section. So how many of us know what data science is? If you know what data science is, can you use the comment section and tell me what data science is? What is data science? All right, so I'm going to the comment section to check out the answers. Okay, so I can see iPhone, all right, says being a detective. Interesting. Data science is about being a detective. Okay. Can I have more answers, please? What is data science? Or can you give me an application of data science? Anyone? All right. So I think, but before the end of today's session, you would have an idea of what data science truly is. Okay, someone else says, I'm finding out the future direction of a company. All right. Priscilla says predictions. Amazing. So that's actually correct. You're predicting the future. You want to know what's going to happen in the future. More like the weather forecast. Okay. When you're doing weather forecasting, you're going to predict the future. Is it going to rain today? Is it not going to rain today? Things like that, okay? So all of these things that I've mentioned are the applications of data science. So let me hop right back into what we have, and then we'll go on. Okay, so this is it. So today we're going to be making use of Python. Python is a programming language that you can use for data science, to analyze your data and to predict the future. You also have what we call ChatGPT. We all know what ChatGPT is, all right? It's an AI tool you can use to perform different tasks, right? So today we're going to use Python to analyze our data, and then we're going to use ChatGPT to debug our Python code. What am I trying to say? If you write errors in our Python code, we're going to make use of ChatGPT to find out those errors and correct those errors. So that's how we're going to work hand in hand today using Python and ChatGPT. Now about the company, all right? So today we're going to act as data scientists, all right? And we're going to be working for a company called Healthy City NGO, all right? So that's the company we're working for today. So Healthy City NGO is actually a small public health nonprofit that runs community clinics across 5 regions, okay? They monitor patients' visits and the outcomes for seasonal respiratory illness, and they want to understand which patient characteristics are linked to hospitalization, basically, all right? So what's the problem statement? Now we know a little bit about the company. So now, Health City actually noticed that some patients with health issues are more likely to end up in the hospital. So they want to know what factors, they want to know if age, if smoking, if flu vaccination, They want to know if all of these factors and even more are linked to the higher hospitalization rates of these patients. Because sometimes they treat some patients, they go back and they still come back. All right, so they want to know what factors are affecting these patients, what factors are leading to higher hospitalization rates. So we want to know that today. So the two aims of the project that we're about to hop right into, number one, we want to understand the patient's average age. We want to understand their smoking habits. We want to understand vaccination and so on, right? Next, we want to find the key risk factors. That is, what factors make hospitalization more likely, right? So these are the two aims of the project. Now, this is our data set, our data dictionary. So whenever you see data dictionary, we just want to understand what is in our data set. So Health City NGO, they have provided us with a very nice data set comprising everything that we need to make the analysis for today, right? And this is the first part of the data set. Over here, we have the column name, we have the description, all right? And then we have the type of column in the middle. Right. So in our data set, we have the patient ID. That is a unique identifier that tells us for each patient, basically, we have the age of the patient, we have the gender of the patient, we have the region where the patient is located, we have smoker. Right. So smoker is a categorical feature that tells you if the patient smokes or not. We have BMI. BMI stands for body mass index. Right? Is a measure of body weight relative to height and so on. So we also have the patient's body mass index. Next, we have the chronic conditions, right? So that's the number of chronic health conditions the patient has. Sometimes some patients can have up to 5, some they just have 1, some they have 0, and so on. So I want to know the number of chronic health conditions a particular patient possesses. Next, we have visits underscore last year. That is visits to the hospital last year. The number of doctor or hospital visits the patient has gone through last year, or went through rather last year. So let's go on. Now, this is the second part of the data set, okay? So it's just a continuation. So over here, we have BP underscore system. That is the blood pressure. Next, we have the blood pressure for the diastolic, right? We have the cholesterol level, we have the glucose level. We also have vaccinated underscore flu, whether the patient received a vaccine last year or not, right? We have that for the vaccinated underscore flu. And we also have the hospitalized. Now, this is our main column, all right? This is the main column. So it tells us whether the patient has been hospitalized or not. 0 is no, 1 is yes. So when you're going to see the data set, don't get confused. When you see under hospitalized, you see 0, you see 1. So anytime you see 0, it's saying what? No. Anytime you see 1, it's saying what? Yes. So that is that for hospitalized. And finally, but not the least, we have disease underscore severity. So how severe is the disease? Okay, so this part is a categorical feature, all right, that shows you the severity of the disease. Okay, and for the severity, is the disease mild? Is it moderate? Is it very severe? Things like that. We want to know that about the patient. So that's that about the data dictionary and the data set. Okay, we're still going to come back to that later, but I wanted you to have an idea of what we actually have in our data set. Now, what is the big question of today's project? You know, for every project you help onto as a data scientist, there's always a big question, right? There's a big question you're trying to answer. And for us today, the big question is, what factors make patients get hospitalized? Right? So I'm going to move back a little bit. So we're asking, does the patient ID, the age, the gender, the sex, okay, the region, the smoking status, the BMI of the patient, the chronic conditions, the visit last year, the BP, all right, the BP both ways, the cholesterol level, the glucose, whether the patient has been vaccinated, and the disease severity. All of these things, how do they affect the patient being hospitalized or not? So we want to understand and want to know which of these factors really affects the patient being hospitalized, really leads to the patient being hospitalized, things like that. So we need to know. And that is what we're going to analyze and help Health City NGO today uncover. All right. And we're going to make use of these tools, as you can see on the screen. I already mentioned them before. I mentioned Python programming language. I mentioned the AI tool, which is ChatGPT. And then we're also going to use Jupyter Notebook, where we're going to type in our Python codes. You're not going to type in your Python codes on air, all right? You have to type it into, all right, a particular environment, and then you get it executed. So for us today, we're going to make use of Jupyter Notebook to write our Python codes. Now let's begin. Let's begin. So I'm moving on to the juicy part of today's training. Let's begin. But just to be sure, if you understood what I explained so far, if you're flowing, you can actually give me a thumbs up in the comment section. If you understand what you are working towards today, please give me a thumbs up. If you understand what we are working towards today, how we want to help Health City NGO, please give me a thumbs up in the comment section. All right, I can see a love from Fumi. Amazing. Thank you so much, Fumi. All right, so you can either send your love or give me a thumbs up. iPhone, amazing. All right, Abdul, amazing. Sheun, amazing. Great work. Madu, amazing. All right, so I'm going to move on now that I know that you are actually following suit. Thank you. So now what am I going to do? I want to show you the process. Okay, I want to show you the process on how we're going to analyze our data set. But first of all, once again, I'm going to show you the data set we're working with. So I'm using an Excel sheet, okay, an Excel workbook. And we're going to import that Excel workbook to our environment. Okay, so that is what you should be seeing on the screen now. So please, if you can see the Excel workbook on the screen now, please give me a resounding thumbs up. Or give me the love. All right, thank you very much. Good. So you're already familiar with this, okay? So we have how many columns? We have a couple of columns, all right? So you have the patient ID, the age. So you can see what it looks like. So the data dictionary, you can see where we got the data dictionary from. We got it from this particular workbook. So most times when you're connecting, once you want to import data sets into your Python, it comes in this format, okay? You import an Excel file into your Python environment, although there are other ways, there are other sources where you can get your data from. But as a beginner, we're going to start from this by just importing our Excel file into our Python environment. So just have a look at this and then we'll move on. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our Jupyter Notebook. That is one of the tools. If you remember, we had Jupyter, we had ChatGPT, we had Python, right? So we're going to open up the Jupyter Notebook so that we can start what? Writing our Python codes. But before you do that, when you're practicing your own, because you can't practice along with me today, okay, because of the time and you don't have access to some of these things until you are done with the entire session, okay? So when you're practicing on your own, I would like you to do something. I'm about to do what you're going to do. So you're going to actually go to your File Explorer, where you have your documents, okay? Similar to what I have on my screen now. You're going to go to your File Explorer, and then you're going to come over here. So I went to my documents. I opened up my File Explorer. You can either go to Downloads, you can go to Documents, you can go to Desktop. Okay, but I prefer to go to Documents. You go to Documents, then you come over here, and then you create a new folder. So this folder is where you're going to place your data set, the data set that I just showed you, right? You're going to place it inside this particular folder. So I'm going to rename this to, I'll just call it masterclass, okay? So this is a masterclass. So I'll call it masterclass. I'll hit enter, and then I will open it up. So now you can see it's opened up. So I'm going to paste my Excel file into this folder. All right, so it's very important that you follow this, because once you are calling this file later on, once you want to import it into your Python, if they are not in the same directory, that is, if your Python code, all right, and your data sets are both not in the same directory, you're going to have what? Issues. So that is why this is important. So I'm going to go back a bit, back to my documents. I have where I stored my file, my final_health data sets, and then I'll go to documents, I'll go to the new folder that I just created, and the new folder is called what? Master class, which is this. And then I'm going to paste my Excel file over here. So now you can see my folder is not empty anymore, or it's no longer empty. So we now have the final underscore health underscore data set inside this folder. Beautiful. Now that you're done doing this, you can now move ahead and open up your Jupyter notebook so that we can start something, all right? So let's move on. Let's move on. So once again, I'm going to just reshare my screen, and then I'm going to show you our Jupyter notebook environment, basically, okay? So this is the Jupyter notebook, okay? So once you launch your Jupyter notebook, all right, you're going to come across this homepage. You call it the home, the Jupyter notebook homepage. It's going to bring you here. And from here, you just locate that file you just created. So remember, I put mine under documents. So over here, I'm going to go to documents. I'll just double click on it. From documents, I'll look for the folder where I named it as masterclass. So you can see it over here. We have it as masterclass over here. We'll double click on it. And voila, over here you can see it. We have final underscore health underscore dataset.csv. So that CSV file, that Excel file that I actually sent to the folder appears here, which is what it should be. So now I can now open up my code over here in the same folder. So I'll come over here to new. I'll click on notebook. So that's the process, okay? That's the process of creating your new Jupyter notebook. And then you're just going to wait a bit. I'll click select. It's already Python 3. So just select. And there we have it. We have our Jupyter notebook opened. And now we can start our analysis. All right? So if you're flowing and you're able to understand what I just did, at least so far, we're flowing, you understood the process of bringing up your Jupyter notebook. Okay, don't worry about that. If you want to download the file, just fill up the attendance form and you'll be granted as the files later on, okay? Just make sure you fill up the attendance forms, the forms. Yeah, thank you. So just flow with me for now, all right? And you'll be able to do yours later. So now let's go back. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import the tools required to, perform this analysis. We're going to bring in the spoons, the cutleries, okay? We're going to bring them in. And those cutleries, those tools that we require, we call them Python libraries. So we're going to import our Python libraries now, okay? We're going to import our Python libraries now. So the first library that we're going to import, we'll call it pandas. Import pandas as PD, right? So pandas is used for data manipulation. So if you want to be able to import your data set into Python, you're going to make use of pandas. Next, we're going to import what? We're going to import NumPy. NumPy is used for numerical operations. So don't get yourself overwhelmed with, oh, do I need to know? Don't worry, with time you get to know. But I'm just telling you the tools that you need to know, at least for now, okay? Let's give me a minute. Let me bring something up. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to get the codes from somewhere just to save time, and then I'll explain. I think that'll be a better way of, having today's session. So I'm just going to paste it here. Beautiful. So you can see we have pandas, we have NumPy, we have Seaborn. Pandas is for data manipulation. It helps you manipulate your data, import the Excel file. NumPy is for numerical operations. It helps you work with numbers and perform some numerical operations, which we're going to do later on. We have Seaborn. Seaborn is it's quite a funny name, right? But you use it to create charts. You want to plot charts in Python, create beautiful visualizations, etc. You make use of Seaborn. Matplotlib is also similar to Seaborn. If you also want to create beautiful charts, bar charts, different kinds of charts, you can also make use of Matplotlib. So I'm going to be making use of both of them today. And finally, but not the least, we're going to make use of the label encoder. Just keep that in mind. We'll get back to that later on. So once you're done importing all the libraries, as you can see over here, you just do Control-Enter to run it so that you can import all of the libraries. So you just click here and just do Control-Enter, or you come over to this play button where my cursor is, and then you have all your libraries imported. Let's go to the next line. Now that we're done importing our libraries, we can now get the data set in. we cannot get the data sets until we are done importing the libraries, okay? So now I'm going to import the data sets. So now for me to import the data sets, I'm going to reference that data set called final_health_datasets.csv, okay? I'm going to reference it because that's what I want to import. So what am I going to do? I'll use this line of code to import the data sets. So just understand the process first before you start trying to break down these codes. Now I've been able to import this data set, but I can't see it. So I want to see what I've imported. So for me to see what I've imported, I'm going to go to another line and I'm going to do df.head. All right. And I want to print out the first 5 rows of the data set, the first 5 rows. And there we have it. I just executed this line of code by doing Ctrl Enter, and this appeared. And you can see the data set here. Everything I showed you earlier on, you can see everything here. That's amazing, right? Good. Now that we're done importing the data sets, let's do something else. All right, let's do something else quickly. Next, we are going to just have a brief overview of the data sets. We want to see if our data set actually has what? Missing values. We just want to have an overview. We want to see all the columns. We want to see the types of the data types of the columns and etc. Meaning, we want to see if a column has integers in it. We want to see if a column has text in it and so on. So let's do that. So for us to do that, we're going to use df.info. With time, like I said before, you will get used to all of this. But for now, just understand the process. So I'm going to do df.info and I'm going to run it. Remember, df is our data set. So anytime you see df, just know I'm talking about our data set, okay? So now we have what df.info, and you can see it over here. You can see all of the columns are rightly displayed here, from patient ID down to disease severity. And also over here, if you can see my cursor to the extreme right over here, you can see D type. And under it, you can see objects, you can see ints, etc. So that's the data type of the particular column. Some columns have integers in them, that is whole numbers. Some of them have object like text, etc. Some of them have float 64, meaning they have decimal numbers in them, and so on. Okay, you can also see 250, 250, 250, 250. 250 shows you the number of non-null values in them, all right? So it just shows you that this data set looks good, all right? To a great capacity, no, not perfectly, but at least for what we want to do today, this data set is actually okay, all right? So let's move on. Let's move on to the analysis aspect so that you can start communicating using the chat box. Now that we're done and we have seen that our data set is good enough for today's analysis, now we're going to start analyzing our data. Remember, we are looking for what? We want to see the relationship between different factors and hospitalization. We want to see the factors that actually make some of these patients get hospitalized. All right, some of these factors are really, really heavy, that without these factors, some of these patients will not get hospitalized. So on, all right, so we want to understand the relationship. So now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do what we call bivariate analysis, because our project today is very simple and direct. We're just going to focus on what? Bivariate analysis. Bivariate analysis, simply put, is the analysis between 2 columns. All right? Analysis between 2 columns. For instance, the hospitalized column and the age column. All right? So if you do bivariate analysis, you want to see the relationship between age and the hospitalized column. Or I want to check the relationship between age and what other column do we have there? The glucose column and so on. So it's bi. The word bi means 2, right? So just between 2 columns. Now that we understand what bivariate analysis is, now let's start some form of bivariate analysis. All right, so I'm going to click on this plus sign to bring up another cell, okay? So that I can put the codes here. Now I'm going to break down this code so that you can understand what we are doing, all right? So I'm going to zoom in as well, in case you can't see it properly. Good, I think this is better. So now we want to compare hospitalization rates for smokers versus non-smokers. right? We want to see do smokers get hospitalized more than non-smokers? Very simple, right? Good. So for us to do that, we're going to do what we call group by, right? So we're going to group everything. We're going to group the smokers by their hospitalization rates, their hospitalized rates, right? That's what we want to do now. So we're just going to group it by, meaning, for instance, you can have smoker here, and beside it, you just have the hospitalized rates. You have beneath it smoker, a non-smoker, and then you also have the hospitalized rate. So we just want to know, all right, smokers and non-smokers, which of them gets hospitalized more, at least based on what we have in our data set. From your brain, you can just say something, okay? But most times as a data analyst or data scientist, all right, specifically as a data scientist, you have to work with what? Data. You have to base your facts with what? Or on data. So I'm going to come over here now, and I'm going to execute what I have here so that you can see what we have, and some of the codes now will make sense. So I'm going to zoom out a bit now so that you can see it properly, because it's very important that you see what we have here. Nice. So now this is our chart. This is called a bar chart, which we have just created using Python. Okay, so on the x-axis, which is the down axis, the bottom axis, we have no, we have yes. No means no, this person is not a smoker, that is non-smoker. Why yes means yes, this person smokes, right? Basically, that's the meaning. Why on the thank you, Fumi. Why on the left-hand side, you can see the hospitalization rates. Okay, you can see the number of persons, like the average number of persons that actually gets hospitalized. Okay, so you can see it on the left-hand side. Those of them that are hospitalized, you can see. And from this, I want to use the comment section. From this result we have here, what does this result tell you? Smoker versus non-smoker, which of them actually gets hospitalized more? And is looking at what we have on the screen. You can use the comment section. Looking at what we have on the screen, do smokers get hospitalized more or non-smokers? Which of them, smoker or non-smoker? So if you don't want to type it, then you can just put S. I understand S is for smoker. And if you put NS, I understand is N. Okay, thank you very much. Madu says smokers get hospitalized more, right? At least based on what we have on the screen. Amazing, right? Good. So this was actually brought about by using what? Python. Now let us look at the Python code. So for the Python code, you already understand the first part, which I've told you. We're just grouping everything by smokers, okay? Grouping all of them so we can see the total hospitalized one and also get the other total hospitalized one. Then on the second part, on the second line, which is what we have over here, we have plt.bar. Plt there is for what? Matplotlib. So now for this particular chart, we're actually using that matplotlib library we imported earlier on to create this chart that we have. Okay, so we can see there matplotlib.bar. This is the type of chart we are using. We're using a bar chart, which is what you have over here. Okay, then over here we have your x-axis, that is smoker rates.index, and over here we have your y-axis, which is smoker rates.values. All right, so the smoker rate.index here tells you what? It's just telling you about the smokers, okay? Yes or no. That is why on the x-axis you have yes and no. All right, but on the y-axis, you have the hospitalization rates, okay? So with time, you get to understand some of these things more, all right? But at least understand the process first of all. Then we have color. You can actually tell Python, I want this to be blue, I want this to be pink, I want this to be red, and so on. So over here, you can tell Python, I want this to be sky blue, which is the sky blue you can see over here for, I believe, no. And you can tell Python, oh, I want this to be orange. The next bar should be orange, which is the orange that you can see just beneath here. Okay, so that is how we specify this using this line of code. We specify the kind of chart, which is the bar chart. We specified what's going to be on the x-axis, what's going to be on the y-axis, and then the color of the bars. And then for the next line, we specified the title of the chart, which is hospitalization rates by smoker status, which is what you have over here. And then on the y-axis, I specified the name there as well, and I called it rates, which is what you have on this next line. And then we have plt.show to help us show the plot, right? so that you can see the plots basically. So that is what we have under this code. And this particular code is a code that I have replicated over and over and over again throughout the course of this training, since this is your first session, okay? So if you understand this, definitely you have understood the rest of the codes beneath. Okay, so is that clear? If you understand this code, this particular line of code that I just explained, and I've also shown you the illustration, please kindly give me a thumbs up. If you're flowing, please give me a thumbs up. You can give me a love, all right? Or you can give me a thumbs up, anyone. Amazing, amazing, thank you. I'd like to get more, so I know I'm not speaking to myself. All right, thank you so much for those who are actually reacting. So Python, this is your very first Python class, so you get more of this with time. Now that we're done looking at this and now we understand this first chart, let's move on to the other charts, continue our bivariate analysis, and then in the comment section, you tell me the output, okay? So now that we're done with smokers, and we now know that smokers are the ones that get hospitalized more, slightly, right? Slightly. They get more hospitalized than non-smokers. What about the disease severity? Let's look at the relationship between the disease severity and hospitalization, okay? So we want to compare hospitalization rates for the mild. We have disease severity. We have three categories. We have mild disease, we have moderate disease, and we have the severe, the very severe disease. All right, so we want to see their relationship, with patients being hospitalized or getting hospitalized. All right, so let me go back to the code and then I will just show you what we have on the next cell or in the next cell. All right, so I'm going to run this. So this is still the same thing we did up. That's up. So what did I change? I just changed it. And now instead of grouping it by smokers, I'm grouping it by what? Disease severity. That's the only thing I changed. Okay, and then I added one or two colors and that's all. Okay. So let me go down and let's just look at the charts. Now, by looking at the charts, do you think there's a relationship between disease severity, all right, that is the moderate disease, severe disease, and hospitalization rates? Mild over here has nothing. So those of them who have this mild disease, or who have mild diseases rather, they actually don't get hospitalized. That is what this is telling you. Those of them that have mild diseases, they don't get hospitalized. But those of them that have moderate and severe diseases get hospitalized. That is what this chart is actually telling you. That's why you can see we have the peak for moderate, and we have the peak for severe. All right, so this tells you a lot. So if you ask me, by merely looking at this, disease severity actually has an impact on the hospitalization rates. Okay, so if your disease is very severe, all right, if it's not mild, all right, if it's moderate, if it's severe, the possibility that you're going to get hospitalized is very high. That is what this chart is telling you. So if you agree with me, please give me a thumbs up. If you agree with me, please give me a thumbs up. And if you don't agree with me, feel free to give me a thumbs down. All right, thank you. So that is actually what this chart tells you. So now we are done with that. Let's move on to the next slide. Let's see. Now we can see that there's a relationship between severity, disease severity, and hospitalization rates. Let's look at the other factors. Now, the next factor we're going to look at is we want to see if there's a relationship between those who have gotten vaccinated for the flu, right? Not COVID vaccine now, okay? I'm talking about vaccinated for the flu and the hospitalization rates. Let's see if there's a relationship, okay? So for us to do that, I'm going to bring in the code that I have used. Still the same code, but I just changed the parameters, okay? So let me go back to the code. I'm going to open up another cell again, once again, and I'm going to do this. So over here, I've changed it. I'm now grouping it by vaccinated, okay? So those who are vaccinated and those who have not been vaccinated. So that's why I'm grouping it. So I'm going to do Control Enter, and then we're having it over here. So we can see hospitalization rates by vaccinated status, okay? So no over here means no, this person has not been vaccinated rather. Why yes over here means yes, this person has been what? Vaccinated. Now, by looking at this, I want to make sure that we're all following. What does this tell you? Remember, we're doing hospitalization rates by vaccinated status. We have written our Python code using what I already showed you before. I changed the colors to blue and green. We are now grouping it by vaccinated flu. Now we have this. Okay, beautiful. What does this tell you? Let's kindly use the comment section. Those who have been vaccinated, all right, I want to know, those who have been vaccinated, are they more hospitalized, all right, than those who have not been vaccinated? Okay, so Fumi says, high no leads to high disease. Okay. All right. Okay, probably if you could rephrase that so that I could understand more. But right now I'm talking about the vaccination. I want to know if those who have been vaccinated, okay, get hospitalized more. Anyone? Okay, let me just use the emojis. So if you think that those, based on what we have on the screen, those who have been vaccinated get less hospitalized, please give me a thumbs up. If you feel like those who have been vaccinated get less okay, nice one, Violet. Good. What about the rest of us? Okay, so I'm looking at the comment section now. Beautiful, I'm getting some responses. So Madu says, those who have been vaccinated are hospitalized more. Okay. Are you sure? Look at the screen now. Fumi says, lots of them were not vaccinated. Melody says, no vaccination equates to higher rate of hospitalization. While Oluwashola says, those vaccinated get less hospitalizations. So I would go with the later answers, okay? So let me go back to the outputs. So no here means no, they have not been vaccinated, and that is why they have high hospitalization rates, because they have not been vaccinated for the flu. Why those who have what? Yes, right? They have what? Lesser hospitalization rates, meaning because they have been vaccinated, they are not getting hospitalized as much. It's very simple, okay? So it's one thing for you to write codes, it's another thing for you to interpret your codes. And that is why I'm trying to interact with you in the comment section to make you understand and to also see if you can understand some of these codes and the outputs, basically, right? So that's it. So that means if you want to reduce the hospitalization rates to a very large extent, we can tell them to get vaccinated for the flu. That is what this particular chart is telling us. Interesting, right? Good. So let's move on while we move towards rounding off this particular section. Right. So now I want us to look at chronic condition by hospitalization status, right? So I want to see the relationship between those who have chronic conditions and their hospitalization status. Now, for us to do that, I had to just do a little bit of tweaking. Remember, hospitalization is 0, right? We have under the column, we have 0, we have 1s, okay? So that can be a little bit confusing. So I want to quickly change that so that we can understand the next part of our training. So very quickly, I'm going to go back to the code, and I'm going to add a line of code that is going to help us convert the 0 to not hospitalized. So anytime you see 0 for the hospitalized part, you will no longer see 0. You're going to see not hospitalized. Anytime you're going to see 1, you're going to see what? Hospitalized. So that is what I'm doing basically, right? So I'm going to run this code, and that's all. You know, I love Python because with just a line of code, you can do so much. So we're done with that. Now we have changed it. Now we can move on to the analysis. Now for the analysis, I'm just going to go down a bit and I'm going to bring up the code to see the chronic condition by the hospitalization status, meaning I want to compare the chronic condition rates to the hospitalization status. So let's look at that quickly. So I'm just going to paste the code. And the code I'm using is still the same code we have been using since. It's still the same code. You can see it over here. I'm grouping everything by what? Hospitalized. All right. So meaning you're going to see non-hospitalized, not hospitalized, you're also going to see hospitalized. And I'm grouping it by what? Hospitalized. And then I'm putting beside it the chronic condition, because the chronic conditions are actually numeric. Someone can have 5 chronic conditions, someone else can have 4, and so on. So I'm just going to get the average, and then we would base our analysis on that. So now let's look at what we have over here. So we have chronic condition by hospitalization status. That is what we have on the screen now. Chronic condition by hospitalization status, right? Now looking at what we have on the screen, we have hospitalized. So hospitalized actually has, those of them that have been hospitalized, they actually have very high chronic conditions. Okay, they have lots of chronic conditions. Those of them that have been hospitalized have lots of chronic conditions. While those of them that have not been hospitalized, they have what? Less chronic conditions. Okay, so there's nothing in Python. When you're using Python for analysis, you can unveil, you can uncover even the smallest of details. That's something I love about Python. Okay, so if you follow me with what I just have now, if you're backing me up and you believe that chronic conditions, right, really has a relationship with the hospitalization status, please give me a thumbs up. That those of them who have chronic conditions are the ones that get hospitalized based on the analysis we have on the screen. Please give me a thumbs up. Okay, I'm getting one from Madhu. What about the rest of us? I'm getting 2 from Madhu. What about the rest of us? Okay, from Fumi. Okay, nice one. Well done, everyone. Well done. From Violet as well. That's a good one. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on from Steve. Steve Jobs. Wow, I have Steve Jobs here. Amazing. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on quickly. So now you can see that there's a relationship. There's a relationship. There's a relationship. Good. Now, very quickly, someone might ask, okay, isn't there just a way we can just look at everything quickly, right? Instead of having to go through the charts. What if I don't want to plot all of these charts, okay? And then I would see that there's a relationship between some of these things and the hospitalized column. Yes, there's actually, we will call it the correlation, we'll call it correlation, right? We look for the correlation between different features of our data sets, okay? So we're going to come to that shortly, very shortly, okay? But before we come to that, for you to plot your correlation heat map, you must use what we call numeric values. Now, if you look at our data set, I'm going to go up a bit. If you look at our data sets, you're going to see that everything, we don't have numeric values across everything. Okay, patient ID is not a numeric value. You have P in it. It's actually a text. Age is a numeric value. Sex is not a numeric value. All right, region, they are text. Okay, and if you want to create or you want to do your correlation, you must all use what? Numeric value. So I'm going to show you how to specify and pinpoint specific columns. Right, you're going to select specific columns that you want to see, and you want to, gauge their relationship with the hospitalized column. So let's go down a bit and let me show you how to do that. I know we have a lot to do in such, short time, but that's fine. This is your first class of many classes rather. So I will just keep things as simple as I can. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the label encoder. Remember, we imported the label encoder earlier on. The label encoder helps you convert. For instance, if you have your gender, you have female, you have male, right, and you want to convert it to numbers, you can make use of the label encoder. It encodes your data. The word there, encode. It converts categorical features to what? Numerical features. Converts categorical features to numbers. So I'm going to use that now, and then you're going to see what we're going to use it to do later on. So I'm going back now to the code, and I'm going to convert the smoker, right? The smoker column is a text. The vaccinated flu column, right? I'm also going to convert it. The disease severity, where you have mild, moderate, you have severe, okay? So I'm going to convert that to what? Text to numbers. I remember earlier on, we converted our hospitalized. We took it to not hospitalized and hospitalized, right? Remember we did that. So now I'm taking it back to 0 and 1 because we want to get the correlation. So it's like I'm doing this reverse function. So I'm going to do that now, and I'm going to run the code. So I'm done. I've executed the code. So now we can move ahead to check our correlation. Okay. Now for the correlation, I'm going to use also another line of code to make things easy for you and I. Okay. So for the correlation, I'm just going to select some columns. The columns that I already know because I did the analysis before now. The columns I know that have a very strong relationship with hospitalized, meaning the columns that actually affect if a patient would be hospitalized or not. So that is what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to go to the next line and I'm going to put in the code. So for the code now, I'm specifying chronic conditions over here. Let me zoom in a bit so that you can see it properly. In case you're not seeing it. So over here, we have the columns. I selected these columns by myself because I know that they have a relationship with hospitalized after doing the analysis. I went on, I did so many analysis for all the columns, all right, with hospitalized. You can always do that later on your own using the same line of codes that I've actually sent to you earlier on. Now we have chronic conditions, we have disease severity, we have vaccinated flu, we have glucose, and we have hospitalized. So I'm going to use all of these columns, all right, and I'm going to plot my heat map. So I'm going to run this now. And I'm going to come down to the next part so that I can now plot the heat map and then you can see something beautiful that makes sense. And then I'm going to explain the output of what I have. So now I'm bringing in the heat map. And this is it. Amazing. So this is our heat map, our correlation heat map, our correlation plots. Okay. So this is it. I'm trying to zoom out so that you can see it properly. And I'm going to zoom out again. Hopefully you can still see it because I want you to see the features over here. So over here, where my cursor is, you can see chronic conditions, you can see disease severity. It's more like this multiplication table, okay, where you have one here, one times one, two times two, things like that, okay? So you're just seeing it. So the chronic condition, let's look at hospitalized over here, and let us look at chronic condition. So chronic condition over here and hospitalized over here, the relationship is 0.21. Okay, so the relationship between chronic conditions and hospitalized is actually what? 0.21, meaning they have a weak positive correlation. Meaning as the chronic condition is increasing, the hospitalization rate is also what? Increasing. So the more chronic conditions, the more hospitalization rates, basically, okay? So people that have more chronic conditions, they tend to get what? Hospitalized. That is what this is saying. But it's saying that it is what? Weak. It's not very strong, but it's still happening, okay? Even though it's weak, but it's still happening. So that's mean of 0.21, okay? The next one says what? Disease severity. Disease severity is 0.94. It's almost perfect in the sense that as the disease severity is increasing, okay, the severity of the disease is increasing, the hospitalization rate is also going to what? Increase. And if you look at what we did earlier on, looking at the charts and everything we're doing, it makes sense. Okay, it makes sense because that's what we also saw when we were making our analysis earlier on. All right, so at times, if you don't want to start making all of those charts and you just have little time and you just want to start checking the correlation, all right, between some features, you can use the correlation matrix. Okay, you can use the correlation heat map, basically. Next, we have the vaccinated flu. Vaccinated flu is negatively correlated. You can see the minus behind it. Minus 0.06 is negatively correlated with the hospitalization rate. Okay, meaning as the vaccination flu is decreasing, the hospitalization rate is what? Increasing. Okay, and that makes sense. If you don't get vaccinated, all right, from the flu, if it's decreasing, definitely more persons will be getting hospitalized because they're not getting that vaccinated, all right? But if the vaccination rate increases, that is more persons are getting vaccinated, then the hospitalization rate will be what? Decreasing. That is what it's telling us. It has what? An inverse relationship, a negative relationship, all right? An opposite relationship. Same thing for glucose, right? Same thing for glucose and all of that, right? So if this was clear, if you understood what I just did, and if so far, using the correlation plots, you understand the results, and also using the bar charts, using a matplotlib, it's making some sense. Please give me a thumbs up. I'm only getting feedback from Fumi. The rest of us, is this a lot for you? Amazing. All right. So don't worry. The more you practice, the more you understand how to do some of these things. So a very quick one. A very quick one. I know we didn't use the ChatGPT, but I'm going to show you how to use the ChatGPT, okay? So I don't tell persons to carry ChatGPT and start generating codes. No, 1,000 times no. But I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT the right way. I believe you can see my screen. All right. So I'm going to make an error here now, okay? I want to make an error. I want to make an error, okay? And I'm going to put pd.read underscore Excel. So instead of putting pd.read underscore CSV, because it was reading a CSV file, I'm now putting pd.read underscore Excel. This is definitely going to give me an error, okay? So I'm going to execute it now, and I should get an error. And that is it. I've gotten an error. So let's say you have an error and you don't know what's happening. You've given your friend has looked at your codes, they don't still know what's happening. You've looked at the codes for hours, you still don't know what to do. You can actually make use of your AI tools, right? You can make use of ChatGPT. So what do you do if you have an error? You just come over here, you come down here, and you highlight everything. Just take it up to where you have error, or you can just start from up and come down. And then you copy it, right? You do Ctrl+C to copy the error, basically, all right? So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing this to copy the error. Then once I'm done, I'm just going to open up my ChatGPT, if you can see it. Good. And then I'm going to come over here and I'll say, help me debug this error in my Python code. And then I'll paste the error. And then I'll close the quotes and I'll hit enter. So ChatGPT now is going to go through the error, and then it's going to tell me the issue. Okay, so I'm scrolling down now, and I see the issue, or it tells me, oh, I see the error. Now tells me the error happens because you are trying to read a CSV file with final blah, blah, blah. It tells you the data set with pd.read underscore Excel. What is expected is what an Excel file, but that is what you're doing. Then it comes down here and tells me the fix. So this is the correction. It now tells me instead do pd.read underscore CSV, and then your code is going to work. That is how you can use ChatGPT to be working side by side. You have an error, you have checked, you don't know what is going on. Just copy the error, send it to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is going to help you, trace where the error is coming from. Is that clear? If that's clear, give me a thumbs up as I round off my session. If that's clear, please give me a resounding thumbs up. So that makes sense, right? Good. So once you're doing yours, make sure you have ChatGPT opened up beside you so that you can finish up what you are doing, all right? Properly. So a very quick one. I might have something for us today before I round off my session. I'm trying to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up shortly. It's a very short quiz. I love quizzes to test and be sure that we actually know what has been taught. We understood what has been taught, okay? So very quickly in the next 2 minutes, we're going to go through this quiz, and then I'll hand over to my colleague, and then she would take you on another level, all right? So another level of, beautiful things to come. You're going to be excited what's about to come, okay? So very quickly, the first one says what? What is the first step performed before any data analysis begins in the project? Before any data analysis begins in the project. Number one, import libraries, train a model immediately, visualize the data set, and remove number values. So please, can you use the comment section to answer these questions? All right, so Fumi says A, to import libraries, and a couple of us are also saying A. Beautiful, nice, import libraries. And that's correct. So if it's green, it shows you that it's what? Correct. Let's move on to the next one. So what about number 2? Which library was primarily was actually used for handling and manipulating data sets? NumPy, pandas, seaborn, matplotlib. So what's the answer? Let's use the comment section, please. Okay, so the answer is B, pandas. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Well done, everyone. So I'm going to select pandas. Good. Few rules of the data sets. df.describe, df.head, df.tail, df.info. So what's the answer, everyone? To number 3. Okay, head. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Wow, I'm excited. That's a good one, everyone. Next one says, which method provided information on column data types and null values? Was it df.columns, df.info? What's the answer, everyone? This is the comment section. Quickly. The answer to the second one. What function helped us with this? Thank you very much. Actually, the .info function, if you remember, correctly. So I'm going to select that, and that's correct. Thank you. So while moving on to the end, what library was used to create visualizations? Did we use Matplotlib, NumPy, Pandas, sklearn, that's scikit-learn? What did we use, please? All right, thank you very much. We actually used the Matplotlib library. That's a good one, everyone. Right, so let's move on quickly. Which library was used for advanced statistical visualization? Did we use Seaborn, Pandas, sklearn, label encoder for visualizations? What did we use, please? Let's use the comment section. All right, so we actually used Seaborn. Seaborn is actually used for visualization. Seaborn, okay? Thank you very much. So let's go. Label encoder is used for changing values to numerical values. Finally, but not the least, what type of plot was used to compare hospitalization rates by smoker status? Was it line plot, scatter plot, bar plot, or pie charts? What's the answer, everyone, please? What plot was used? All right, a couple of us are saying bar. I want to get more answers before I finish up the session. All right, thank you very much, everyone. So you've said bar, and I'll also say bar plots. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for your time. You all scored 7 out of 7. So over to you. Thank you very much, Priscilla. Over to you, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Akuna. That was such an interesting session, right? I literally enjoyed every bit of it. So, guys, if you're here and you enjoyed every single thing that Akuna did, please leave a yeah in the chat. If you enjoyed every single thing, I can see your responses. I mean, to the quiz and how we're all nailing it. I feel like we're all data scientists here already. But if you enjoyed every single thing that she did, please leave a yeah in the chat. All right, Fumi, I see you. Feet says, where do we get more quiz? All right, so that was set up by Akuna. If you want to get more quiz, register with Analytics so that you get to have more quiz. Absolutely, right? So I'm going to kickstart the other half of the session, and this would be me talking you through how you can get started as a data scientist, right? So for those of us that are looking to break into the world of data science, and we don't know where to get started, why we should even go into data science, this is where I come in and I help you understand, the reason why you should go into data science and, how you can thrive as a data scientist. Now, remember that the focus always is on how can I get a job as a data scientist? It's not just enough to learn, because way too many Hi, everybody. Confirm you can still hear me, please. I'm getting some sort of
We can
error
hear you
message.
now.
All right.
Now, yeah.
Hello, Bon. Could you say that again? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so guys, while I'm talking, if you have questions, just leave them in the chat, right? So Akuna or myself will take time to go over your questions and we'll be able to take your questions. So as I was saying, the focus is on how to get a job. It's not enough to learn, right? A lot of people fall into the loop of endless learning. You keep learning and learning and learning, right? Well, here at Analytics, we structured our program in such a way that You don't just learn, but you build experience. And with the experience that you have, you are able to get a job. So for those of us looking to get started, why should you go into data science, right? This is the $1,000,000 question. Why data science? Now, as a beginner looking to transition into tech, right, you want to ensure that that career path you're choosing, which in this case is data science, is one that you can easily learn, right? And right here at Analytics, I mean, one EdTech, and we've been doing this for a little over 5 years now. So what we've done is, we did our job analysis, right, on different job posts. And what we wanted to see, we had certain criteria, just 3 of them, right? Ease of learning, ease of transitioning, and high rewarding salary. So what we did first was to take a look at the job posts, the frequent job posts, and we did our analysis to ensure that the jobs, the career path that we'll be selecting fit into the criteria, and most importantly, they are in demand. So if you remember at the beginning, we have just 8 training programs here at Analytics. That was very intentional. We needed to ensure that if you're going for data science, it is something you can easily learn, regardless of your background. You don't need to go back to school to get a degree, to get a master's before you're able to easily learn. You don't even need to be in the sciences, right? So we needed to ensure that it is something you can easily learn. We also needed to ensure that you can transition easily. You can get a job. There's a demand for data scientists, and not just any kind of job, but one that pays you well. So after doing our analysis, the data science career path fits into the criteria. Then we needed to see, is there any external body validating our claim or corroborating our story? And what we did was to, go through the Future of Jobs reports by World Economic Forum. Now, the Future of Jobs is made up of sorry, can everybody still hear me? I think just give me a minute. I opened up my Jupyter and the book. It's sort of taking so much space on my laptop. So I'm just going to close this now, and then I'll share again. Keeps telling me that my Python, yeah. Please confirm you can see my screen at this point. I think I should be good to go. Can you see my screen? Just let me know if you can see my screen at this point. Please leave a yes if you can see my screen so I can get ahead with the session. Can everybody see my screen? All right, thank you for me. So as I was saying, we needed to check, is there any external body that will validate our claim? Right? So we consulted the Future of Jobs report by the World Economic Forum. Now, the World Economic Forum is made up of your tech leaders, your Elon, your Jeff Bezos, and the likes. And what they do is to chart the course for, career path and the likes, and from their report. So this report, is released every 2 years, and this one was just released in January. This is what they have to say. In the next 5 years, between now and 2030, 170 million jobs will be created, while 92 million jobs will disappear. Now, I saw somebody in the chat saying the data science space is saturated. In fact, everybody feels that way about tech. Everybody feels that tech is saturated. Well, here is the Future of Jobs report telling you that 170 million jobs will be created, while 92 million jobs will disappear. So what you want to do is, as fast as possible, plug into the roles that would continuously be in demand. Now, here's a snippet of the report, right? What I've done is to attach a snippet of the report here. And to the right, you would see career path that would decline, right? And to the left, you would also see career path that would grow. And absolutely, the data science role is definitely one that would continuously grow in demand. Okay, so you can see the big data specialist, the AI and machine learning specialist, the data analyst and scientist, right? The business intelligence analyst, the supply chain and logistics specialist. These are roles that the data scientist can fit into. So think about it. You want to get into tech. You're interested in data science, and you've seen that this is a role that would continuously still be in demand. So what are you scared of? You have Analytics here to literally give you the skills that you need. So you're looking to go into data science. What are the skills you need to land a job? Remember, as a beginner looking to transition, the focus is on how do I get a job after learning? it is not just enough to learn. It is very, very important that you also get a job after learning. So what skills do you need to have to land a job in 2025, right? Now, we'll go through this, okay? Now, the first thing you need to get, right, are the key learning areas, okay? And right, as you can see on my screen, the first thing you'll be learning here at Analytics is statistics, which is the foundation of data science, right? So you get to learn statistics and the different types of charts you have, your measures of central tendency, the mean, median, mode, how you can use that when you're building your models and, trying to do your analysis and the likes, right? So after you get to learn statistics, you also get to learn forecasting and predictive analytics using Microsoft Excel. So if you know that you can do predictions using Excel, please leave a yes in the chat. If you're very much aware that you can do predictions using Excel, leave a yes in the chat. Hi, everybody. Please confirm that you can still hear me. So Oluwashola, can you hear me now? Confirm you can still hear me, please. Okay, thank you. So I was asking if you know that you can use predictions, you can do predictions using Excel, please leave a yes in the chat. All right, absolutely. So a couple of us know that we can actually do predictions using your Excel, your equations of a straight line, y equals to mx plus c and all of that, right? So we get to teach you here at Analytics how you can go about doing forecasting and predictive analytics using Microsoft Excel. Then we teach you Tableau for data analytics. Now, bear in mind that this is a full stack data science program. So you get to learn about the front end, how you can do visualizations and all of that. And then you also get to learn about building machine learning models. So absolutely, you need to learn Tableau if you're looking to become a data scientist, a full stack data scientist. So after you learn Tableau, you have SQL, structured query language. This is the language of every database. Okay, so say that right now you're on this call, right? Data is being generated. The average number of minutes spent on the call, all of that is stored in Zoom's database. So say that Analytics wants to see, okay, what is the average minutes spent by every single person on the call put together? Right, would need to go to the database where the information is stored. And to access the database, we can only do that by using the structured query language, which is SQL. Right? And that is something you get to learn. Learn how to access every database, your data manipulation languages, your data definition languages, your data querying languages. That is something you need to learn. If you're looking to be a data scientist, then we have Python programming. Absolutely. You cannot do without Python programming. And we'll be teaching you this from the very scratch, right? From your data types, how you can export a data set and all of that. So this is all you get to learn in the Python programming package, right? You'll be learning right from the very scratch. Then you also get to learn exploratory data analysis, how you can generate insights from the data set that you're working with, just like what Akuna did this evening. So you get to learn exploratory data analysis and machine learning, right? So this is one key aspect of data science, that you will be learning right here at Analytics. Then your computer vision, right? That is something you also get to learn. If you've ever had to do the old QR code scanner and all of that, that is computer vision in play. right? And that is something you get to learn here at Analytics. Then, of course, you have to learn GitHub for version control. You also have to learn ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot for coding, as well as Microsoft Fabric for analytics. So you're looking to become a data scientist. These are the skills that you need to get equipped with. And I also need to mention that, remember, the focus is for you to get a job. So, and at the point where you're looking to get a job, apply to jobs. Recruiters would want you to have experience, but you're a beginner, you're just starting out. So how do you gain the experience? How do you build the experience? You know, it really, really boils down to how you learn. So right here at Analytics, we've ensured that you're learning by gaining experience. And how have we ensured this? By ensuring that every key learning area here, you are not just coming to learn theories, because theories don't get you the job. You know, theories don't give you the right experience. They don't give you the hands-on skill that you need. So you see, you're going to be learning in a project-based environment. Every key learning area here, you are learning, you know, by working on projects, because that way you get to gain the necessary experience. Because come to think of it, so the way that mid-level staff, just think about it, the way that mid-level staff are able to move up the ladder to senior level is just by the experience they've been able to gather, right? And then what gives them the experience? The projects they've worked on, you know, the tasks that they've been able to work on. This is exactly how you're coming to learn here at Analytics. You're learning by working on projects. And these projects would help you, you know, gather the much needed experience that you need. Okay, so what is the learning timeline? So you're looking to transition into data science. You know, what is the learning timeline here at Analytics? So the learning timeline is 8 months. And this 8th month is split into 2. You have 6 months of learning and 2 months of internship. So every key learning area here, you get to learn for 6 months, and thereafter you have your 2 months of internship. Okay, so while learning in class, you have what is called the blended learning approach. Okay, a lot of the times our participants are people that are working, busy with responsibilities, multiple shifts, and the likes. So what we've done is to ensure a flexible learning approach, and that is what is called the blended learning approach. So you're learning in a live class, and you're also learning self-paced. Right? Now, for your live classes, out of 2 Saturdays in a month, you're only required to be in a live class for 2 out of those 4 Saturdays, right? The other Saturdays will be for your drop-in sessions. And what are these drop-in sessions? Remember that you're working on projects. So sometimes when you're working on these projects by yourself, you know, after being taught and all of that, you'd have questions to ask. So you come on these drop-in sessions and you're able to ask your question just the same way I'm sharing my screen. You're able to share your screen with the instructor, with the facilitator, and they're able to take a look at your code. Right, so say that you went through the project and you wrote the exact same line of code, but you're getting an error message, right? You have the drop-in session, you know, where your facilitator is going to take a look at that and help you, okay, to get past the technical issues that you're having. Now, every single live class is just for 3 hours. We have the morning and the evening class. So for the morning class, you get to learn between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m., just 3 hours, okay? And this is usually advisable for people in Europe, UK, Africa, right? And then we have the evening class. This is from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., you know, advised for people in North America, Canada, and the likes, right? So you get to choose the timing that works for you, be it morning or be it evening. So you choose the time and you attend class. Now, this is the, you know, live class part of things. Then you have the self-paced. So what this means is from Sunday through to Friday, you know, when you wouldn't be having a live class, you get to learn at your convenience. You choose the time and you choose the place. You learn at your convenience. So if you prefer to learn, you know, at the early hours of the morning from 5 a.m. to say 7 a.m., you just need to access your project, your resources, and you learn at your convenience, basically. So for people that are looking to transition into tech, this is the tested and proven way, you know, to help you ease your transitioning into tech. And this is what we have here at Analytics. Now, after taking those key learning areas, what are some jobs you can apply to? you can absolutely apply to all roles in data analytics. Now, remember that while the data analyst will do descriptive and diagnostic analytics, the data scientist will take it a step further to do predictive analytics. So you're doing descriptive, you're doing diagnostics, and you're doing predictive analytics. And what this means is you can absolutely apply to all roles in data analytics with what Analytics will be teaching you. Right? Then absolutely your data science roles, your machine learning engineer, your forecasting analyst, demand planning analyst, big data analyst, quantitative analyst, market research analyst, NLP developer, computer vision engineer, and so much more. Now, I hope you're starting to see the prospects that this is given to you. After going through all those key learning areas, you're not just stuck on data science roles. You can absolutely apply to a lot of roles, and some of them I've included right here on my screen. Okay, now the focus, I'll keep reiterating, is not just to learn. The focus is to get a job. Here at Analytics, we came up with a job equation formula. Right? And what you have here is the technical skills plus the employability skills to get a job. Because the technical skills are not enough. If you go right there on LinkedIn and you search for data scientists, you'd see a couple of people, but I bet you over 60% of those people don't have jobs as a data scientist. So how do you stand out? You're looking to transition, you're just starting out. How do you get ahead of the curve? How do you stand a better chance? You don't just need the technical skills, you also need the employability skills. And this is where Analytics comes in. So how can you stand out with Analytics? So the first thing that we do here at Analytics is 2 months into your program, we have what is called the CV review and revamp. Now, with this, we're teaching you. So we first of all provide you with a standard CV format that beats the applicant tracking system any day, anytime. So that as a beginner, you tailor your CV according to that format. Right? And then once you're done with that, you send it back to us and we're able to take a look at what you've done and provide you with individualized feedback. So if you feel like, oh, for me, your work experience needs to be better, your educational background and experience needs to be better put, you get all those types of feedback. Right? So that is the first thing we ensure, to ensure that your CV is in the proper state, because it goes before you. Right? Your CV tells a lot before you even stand a chance to speak as a data scientist. So you have to ensure that your CV is well structured and well tailored. Now, you see those job roles I showed you initially, your machine learning engineer, NLP developer, data analyst roles that you can apply to. One formula we use here at Analytics is never use the same CV to apply to multiple roles, because each job description contains peculiar keywords that the applicant tracking system will be looking out for. So what you want to do is to ensure that your CV is tailored to suit the job you are applying for. And we help you and teach you how you can tailor your CV to suit the job. Okay, now the most interesting part of this CV review and revamp is, as a beginner, recruiters would want you to have experience. They would probably need to see it on your CV. So what we've done here at Analytics is to encourage every single participant to have on their CV that they've worked for Analytics as consultants or contractors. Right? Now, you're able to confidently put that there and defend it, just by the way you're learning. So what do you see all those projects you're working on, those projects that help you build experience, hands-on experience and all of that, will provide you with a job description that summarizes all these projects, the impact of the project, the machine learning models that you've built and all of that. And you can have that on your CV. And if anybody wakes you up any day, anytime, you'll be able to defend it because you learned by working on projects. You gained the necessary experience and you just don't have that there for just having sake. You can defend it any day, anytime. Then we have the LinkedIn optimization, because a lot of the times, when you apply for jobs, the recruiters will go on there to search on your LinkedIn profile. And here at Analytics, when we're looking to fill up roles, we first of all go on LinkedIn and we search. So if a recruiter is looking to fill up a data scientist role, and they go on LinkedIn and search. If you want your profile to be amongst the top search, your profile has to be properly optimized. It has to carry the right and necessary keyword that the profile of a data scientist should carry. And this is something we get to teach you here at Analytics. A lot of people have been able to get jobs from LinkedIn. They have recruiters reaching out at the likes. So this is what we do with our LinkedIn optimization. Then navigating the job market. So you're looking to get a job. Where are these jobs? How can you even begin to apply for these jobs? Okay, so we teach you how to apply to jobs. And one thing we've been able to do is to also, subscribe to premium job boards and give you access. So you have your regular job boards that you can apply to your LinkedIn, Glassdoor, and the likes. And then you have exclusive roles that you don't have to pay for. All you have to do is just apply because they've been provided to you by Analytics, right? Then absolutely, it's a new terrain, right? You have an interview coming up and you're fidgeting. This is your first data scientist interview, and you don't even know how to answer competency-based questions and the likes. So you have Analytics to come back to, so much so that if you have an interview coming up, all you have to do is book for a prep session, and you'll have an expert, that will walk you through what you should expect, right? They'll preempt the questions you're likely to get, and they're able to do this just because they've done their research on the company, they've taken a look at your CV as well, and then they'll prep you for the interview. Okay, now, and then remember that on your CV, you have Analytics as your work experience. Recruiters will definitely need a company that can vouch for you. Okay, and you have Analytics for that. We're able to provide you with recommendation and reference letters. Okay, then we have on-the-job support as well. This is your first time getting a job as a data scientist. Although a lot of our participants don't usually come back for this because it is 6 months of immersive learning. But we have this handy just in case, right? If you come across a task in your job that seems to accumulate something you cannot find your way around, all you have to do is just get back to Analytics and you have support. Then, of course, we have weekly mentorship session. So in this session, we have global recruiters, we have people that have gotten jobs, the co-founders of Analytics. They come and they mentor you weekly on a weekly basis. And then Upwork optimization. So this, alongside your technical skills, help you stand a better chance. I mean, on your CV, you're able to have a work experience, you have your LinkedIn profile properly optimized, you have exclusive roles that you can apply to, you have a company that is willing to vouch for you and send out a recommendation letter on your behalf. You also have a company that is willing to mentor you every week and also support you on the job. What more do you need to actually stand out and get that job? Right, so this is a snippet of some of the jobs that you get to see. So you see data scientist roles, lead data scientist roles, product data analyst, and the likes, right? This is just a snippet of one platform that we subscribe to. So we're able to provide you with these exclusive roles, right? And then remember that I said it is 6 months of learning and 2 months of internship. Now, your internship will be done with a sister company that is registered in London. So for those of us that are really bothered about UK-based experience, you can have on your CV that you've worked with a company that is registered in London, and that gives you your UK-based experience. Analytics itself is registered in Canada. For those of us that are big on Canadian experience, and you have that on your CV. And then we're also accredited by the American Council of Trainings and Development. So you have the unique opportunity of including Analytics and Amdari as your work experience on your CV. Imagine coming from a place of no experience to having 2 different companies right there on your CV, which you can, defend any day, anytime. This is what Analytics gives to you, right? And I've also included success stories here. So you see a lot of people that have been able to get jobs. So the first person here is Abdul Rashid. He resides in Nigeria, and he currently works for a company in the US as a data scientist. Right? Somebody else here, Ololade, she's now a permanent resident in Canada, using her experience as a data scientist with Analytics. Bukola joined our data science program, right? And she was able to land a job as a people data scientist with a company in Poland. So I've also included a link to their testimonies here, so that you can go through. All you have to do is fill up the form, right? Ubong here also got a job, as a full stack data scientist, right? And right there in the UK. Okay, we also have a lot of them. We have Nathaniel as well. We have Sunday, right? And then Toyi, Olugbemi, and the likes. So what you want to do is just fill up the attendance form, so that when you get access to it, you can go through the testimonials, right? So what are the next steps, basically? So you've literally heard about the data science program. I mean, you've seen what Akuna has done. I've also spoken to you about how you can transition. This is one juicy role, that you can get into, and one that will still be in demand. How you can also stand out by plugging into the employability skills here at Tenalytics. So what are the next steps? So the next step, the only obvious next step, is for you to get started on that journey. And we'll be having a class, our next cohort that begins on the 4th of October. Now, the earlier, the better. So if you're looking to start in October, by say January, February, you're already applying to jobs. Okay, so the next step is for you to join our next cohort, which begins on the 4th of October. Okay, and what would it cost you to begin with us here at Tenalytics? Now, the cost of the training here at Tenalytics is $1,000 US, just that, $1,000 US. But guess what? We have a discount ongoing, a 25% discount. Instead of $1,000 US, you get to pay $750 US. And the catch is, you see this discount, this particular 25% discount, it's ending tomorrow, which is the 19th of September, right? So this discount has been open from the 9th of September and will be ending tomorrow. Okay, so what I want you to do is to take advantage of this discounted slot. I mean, you can pay $750 right now. After Friday, the price increases to $800 US. Why pay $750 when you can pay $800? I mean, why pay $800 when you can pay $750? Now, the most interesting part is, you see the $750, you don't have to worry about paying the large chunk, because you can pay in installments. You can pay as many as 5 times. What this means is you break the $750 into 5, and pay that every month, and in 5 months, you'll be done with the payment. So while you're learning, while you're working on projects, while you're being given the employability skills, you are still paying. I mean, this is a win-win situation for you. Okay, while you're trying to pay up and all of that, you're applying to jobs, you're getting interview preparation and all of that, right? So what I'll encourage you to do is take advantage of the discounted slot. And right about now, I'll show you how you can do that. So my colleague is sharing the link. Okay, my colleague is sharing the link to the payment platform in the chat. Right? Let me quickly walk you through how you can go about making payments. So just click on the link, okay? And as soon as you click on the link, give me a minute to share my screen and show you that part, okay? If you've got questions, while I'm trying to run through, please just leave them in the chat. I'll take your questions, okay? So, but if you click on the link, it takes you to the Tenalytics site, right? And I'll share my screen to show you what you should see on the Tenalytics site, okay? So let me quickly do that, right? So Fumi said she just say no about the discount. Well, yeah, so it's been open since the 9th of September, and you can take advantage, before, the price increases to $800 US. And I'll encourage you to actually do that. Okay, so I'll share my screen in a moment, and I would walk you through how you can go about securing a discounted slot. Okay, so sharing my screen now to show you this in very, very simple steps. So as soon as you click on the link that my colleague has put there in the chat, it brings you here, right? And you get to see 25% off limited time offer for October cohort, right? And you see that the offer ends in one day. That is tomorrow, the 19th of September. So if you want to take advantage of the 25% discount, what you want to do is secure a slot as soon as possible. Now, when the link brings you here, just scroll down a bit and look for full stack data science. Right, so you see full stack data scientist 2025. Click on buy now. Right, click on buy now, and then it brings you here. Now it might prompt you to open up an account, and that you can easily do in less than a minute. But as soon as you open up the account, click on enroll now. Right, and then when you click on enroll now, it brings you here. Right, it brings you to the page where you'd have to confirm your enrollment. So you see that we have two cohorts open, the October and the November cohort, and the 25% discount applies to both cohorts. Right, now you get to choose the one you're interested in, October or November, and scroll down. Remember I was saying that the cost of the training with this 35% discount is $750, and you can pay as many as 5 times. You know, you get to pay $150 every month, and in 5 months you'll be done. Right, we also have the 4 monthly installment. You know, with this you get to pay $187.05, and in 4 months you'll be done. We have the 3 installments, $250 every month, and in 3 months you're done. Right, then we have the 2 monthly installment and the full payment. I'm sure that you must see the price changing for the 2 monthly installment and the full payment. It's just the net present value effect of money. So if you want to pay twice or once, you have a further discount. Instead of $750, you get to pay $712 US dollars. So that is if you're looking to pay twice or once. But basically, just click on the payment plan that works for you. The 5 monthly, the 4, the 3, the 2, the one-time payment, right? For the sake of showing you, I'll click on the 5 monthly payment and I'll click on apply discount. Right, so when you click on apply discount, it brings you here. It applies the discount and brings you to this window. So just scroll down, right, and you get to see the payment breakdown. So you're paying in 5 months. If you start now, you know, you complete your payment in January, and you'd have gotten all the skills that you need to start applying to jobs. Right, so just scroll down, check the box that says I confirm that my information is correct. I've read the 10 analytics terms and conditions, and click on pay now, and you'll be able to make payment. So remember that this 35% discount is ending tomorrow. So try to secure a slot as soon as you can. You don't want to pay more. I mean, $50 is a lot, right? And why pay $800 when you can pay $750? And you can pay in any currency, right? I see Smart asking. You can absolutely pay in any currency. You want to pay in Naira, you want to pay in pounds, you want to pay in Canadian dollars. You know, immediately you open it up, you see the price in your local currency, right? So this is how you go about securing a slot. Right? So if you've got a question, you can leave them in the chat, but I have one more thing to show you. Okay, so while you're securing a slot, for those of us that are still confused, you don't know, okay, which career path suits me? Would it be data science? Would it be data analytics? Would it be cybersecurity or any career path? You're able to, so what we've done is to curate a quiz, a list of questions that will help you decide which career path suits you. Okay, so I'll put the link to this quiz right there in the chat and we'll walk through it together. Okay, so I'm putting the link in the chat, you know, so that you get to also click on it and we'll see which career path it would, you know, decide for you or advise you to go for. Remember that it is solely based on your inputs. So it will ask you a couple of questions. It is garbage in, garbage out. What you give to it, that is what it will base the decision on. So as soon as you click the link, it brings you here and you see this. Not sure what tech career path suits your personality? Get started. So what you want to do is click on get started and you say it's giving tech era. Absolutely. Everybody needs to get on board. Everybody needs to be in the tech terrain. Everybody needs to get into tech. Okay, so just click on let's go and it will prompt you to fill up your details, your first name, your last name. So I'm just going to do this, my first name, my last name, right? My mobile, Just gonna do this. So you can do this on your end as well. Also my email address, okay? I'm gonna put my email address here. And then I'll check the box and click on next. So it brings me here and then the question begins. So it's asking, how do you feel in group settings or team discussions? For my kind of person, I prefer to work solo or behind the scenes, right? So I'm just going to click that. It depends on, remember, garbage in, garbage out. It is what you give to it that it will base the advice on, okay? So it says, what best describe your current or most recent job? Right? So I'm just going to put this, you get to do the same as well. Which of these sounds most like you? I love solving problems with people. I prefer working with data. I enjoy protecting systems. I like creating processes or workflows. I want a job that pays well, even if it's hard. So I'm going to put, I prefer working with data and finding patterns. Then the next question, how comfortable are you with tools like Excel, Google Sheets, or numbers in general? I'm absolutely comfortable, right? And then what's your take on coding, right? What's your take on coding? I absolutely love coding. So you got to choose the one that applies to you. If you're okay with light scripting or no code, you're curious but not sure if you enjoy it, if you prefer logic puzzles over syntax, if you'd rather manage tech teams and not code, just pick on the options that speak to you, right? But I'm going to click on I love coding. And then it says, what kind of work environment do you prefer? What kind of work environment do you prefer? Absolutely, I'm going to pick that. And this is what's most important to you right now. What is most important to you right now? So I'm going to put landing a high-paying tech job ASAP. You can also do the same. And then I'm going to click on next. Then what kind of impact do you want to make? Right? What kind of impact? Definitely driving data insights and the likes. And then it goes to this part, which course sounds most appealing to you? Now, I know that for some of us, we might not have idea of these courses, but just go ahead, pick the one that sounds, it's not asking you which one do you know. It's asking you which one sounds most appealing to you. So I'm just going to pick that. You can also pick so many options. I'm confused, but I'm going to pick this. And then I'm going to scroll down and click on tab here. Right? So absolutely, it has suggested the course that speaks to me, which is the data science program. Okay, so if you're unsure of which tech career path to go for, whether data science or just take the quiz, I put a link right there in the chat. You can take the quiz and let me know which one is suggest to you. So I'll put the link again. Did anybody take it? Let me know which one is suggesting to you. Right, for me, it's suggesting data science, and then you can click on step into it. Okay, you can either click on step into it to get started as a data scientist, or you can book a free call, a consultation call with a Clarity personnel, where they get to get on a call with you and they get to see, okay, is the data science really for you? Is that something you can thrive in? What does it entail? So just either book a free call or, get started right away. So did anybody take it? Did they suggest any option to you? I'd wait for one response. Did anybody take the quiz as I was doing it? Well, basically, you want to do that to see, okay, which of the career path would suit you? Which one do you want to thrive in? Because in as much as you're transitioning into tech, there's something called transferable skills. If you like communicating and a couple of stuff, just, let the quiz know so that it decides on which career path is best for you. And while you're doing that, remember that a 25% discount is ending tomorrow. I don't want you to pay more. So what you want to do is secure a slot. You have payment plans in place. So secure a slot as soon as possible. Okay, so right about now, I've come to the end of my presentation. So if you have questions from me, any question at all, just leave that in the chat so I'm able to take your question before we call it a close. So if you have any question at all, you want to speak, you can indicate so that I ask you to unmute, or you have a question, please leave that in the chat so I can take your question. But right about now, I've come to the end of my presentation. I'll still emphasize on the importance of, securing a slot using the 25% discounts. With that, you get to pay $750. And after tomorrow, the price goes up by $50. You'll be paying $800. right? So I'd encourage you to secure a slot as soon as possible. Does anybody have a question for me? Any questions? Feel free to ask me your question if you have any question for me, right? But if there are no more questions, right, please try to secure a slot as soon as possible. And we've successfully come to the end of today's session. I hope you had value for your time. So if you had value for your time, please leave a yes in the chat. If you enjoyed it from the practical aspect to this aspect, if you enjoyed every single bit, please leave a yes in the chat. I want to know, if you've had value for your time so far. All right, I'll be looking forward to your response. I see a couple of us right here on the call. If you've had value, kindly leave a yes in the chat. All right, thank you, Prosper. Prosper says he or she has had value for their time. Who else? I can see a lot of people. I can see Sharon Artisan. I can see Christian. I can see Mercy, Jessica. Are you still here? I hope you've had value for your time so far. So we've successfully come to the end of today's session. Thank you so much for joining in. It's been an hour, 45 minutes, right? Try to secure a slot as soon as possible. And with that, we bring the session to a close. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Have a beautiful one. All right. And I hope to see you in October or November. The point is try to secure a slot as soon as possible. Thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye and cheers. Thank you.